Alright, welcome back to the channel, and we're continuing on with the Crionic Mind, the box of stuff that Scott Candy sent me, like, over a month now ago. We're almost done, though, well, there's gonna be multiple views in this video, but 2 more videos are gonna come out of that, and then we're gonna move on to something else, finally. Alright, so today we're gonna talk about the KK Null and the Moz split release called a split release! Yeah! So, KK Null is the long-running solo project of Kazuyuki Kashino, if I remember his name correctly, a Japanese noise musician who has been going since about 1983, and as far as I can tell, is one of the most legendary and well-known noise musicians, and definitely one of the biggest ones in Japan. I don't know why, but Japan has a very big noise scene. I think a lot of people know the project Merzbrow. I had one of his albums once. Not my cup of tea, I'll just say that. But Curiosity got the best of me years ago, and they got a really big scene over there, and there's other guys too. Yeah, and I should have prepared some better notes for this, but whatever. There's a lot of, if you're into like just pure noise music, there's a lot of Japanese guys. So KK Null, well, KK Null has put out a lot of music over the years. He is very, as I already said, famous or well-known for his noise music, but he's also the guitarist in I guess what's described as a progressive hardcore band called Zenigeva. And many years ago, like 20 years ago, when I was like checking out post-rock music for the first time, the name Zenigeva popped up. And I heard it back then, and I couldn't tell you for the life of me what it sounds like. I don't think it's post-rock, but I don't remember it being bad. So I definitely gotta go back to Zenigeva at some point in time. But as KK Null, he has put out over 60 albums over the years and is by far one of the most prolific noise and just experimental musicians in general. Yeah. And this is the only album I've ever heard from him, so I don't really have a lot to go by here, but what we basically have on this record is, I guess what you'd call like rhythmic noise. It's noise music, but there's a little more substance going on as opposed to like, normal noise music is just blasts of white noise, and I don't know, I'll never get how people enjoy it, but there's a little more substance going on here. There's rhythms, of course, and there's structure to it. But my big problem with the 5 songs on this split release is that his music really lacks atmosphere, I guess. I wish there was some sort of like undercurrent to it, or just maybe a melodic touch or here or there or something. But it's just very, it just doesn't do a whole lot. Like, at least not for me. Like, if you're a noise guy and you like rhythmic noise, maybe this would be, like, amazing for you. I don't really know, but, I guess as far as my tastes are concerned, it's just not really my cup of tea. And, I guess, I looked up and I've seen several of his albums were on, Spotify, so, maybe next time I'm, like, washing dishes or cleaning the house, I'll queue up a few KK Null albums and feel like it would go well with those situations, but otherwise, though, yeah, rhythmic noise seems like the best way to describe it, but, like, for example, like that song you can hear playing in the background now, like, it's just hurting my ears, and, like, I don't know, man, like, I don't know what sort of, like, psychosis you have to have, or how do you get into this music, but it's just not for me. So anyway, let's flip it over and let's check out the Moz stuff. Alright, as for Moz, well, Moz was the solo project of James Brand. He was originally from Houston, Texas, but later on he moved to Alaska. And he was active from about 1997 until 2010 when he unexpectedly passed away. It looks like he wasn't a particularly prolific musician. But, he had quite a few, not quite a few, but, several releases throughout those years. And before this split, I had never even heard of his name before, so, yeah, I have no real point of reference at all here. How to describe this guy's music, then? Well, he fancies calling his music post-power electronics, but I don't know. I feel like, and you know, again, correct me wrong here, I feel like there's, again, more substance and more atmosphere to power electronics, and this just feels very, very noisy, very samey, and very just lacking atmosphere. Again, you know, maybe some people will dig this. It's just not really my cup of tea. But, yeah. I mean, I guess I could look to see if he's got some stuff up on Spotify too, but I doubt that because he's no longer alive. Anyway, there's a front cover. Oh, there's the back cover. And, interesting thing about this release is, it seems like back in the early 2000s, this is from 2000, when I was doing my zine Lunar Hypnosis, I used to get, like, a lot of, like, pure noise or power electronics, experimental music, whatever you want to label it as. And they all kind of had, like, I don't know, like, I guess graphics like this or something. I don't know. I mean, I can't really explain it. There was just, like, sort of this simplicity to it all, and it just, I don't know, like, I don't know, like the actual printing quality, it looks like shit on here, but maybe that just gives it more of an underground feel or something like that. I don't know. I was getting a lot of noise music back when I was doing my zine, and I basically continuously wrote the same thing, that I don't get this music, and I don't know why people are sending this to me. But they did, and I had to endure it. Alright, continuing on, we're going to talk about another oldie from the Crionic Mind back catalog. This is Never Presence Forever and their album Disturbed Visceral Noctilucant. So as far as I could tell, Never Presence Forever is a project based out of Richmond, Virginia. Couldn't seem to find out who the person is behind the project, but this project makes a sort of, I guess, a mixture of very minimal noise, dark ambient, and death industrial, and then awkwardly, one song on this album is sort of like a sort of a melodic ambient Celtic kind of sounding piece. It was really unexpected. But looks like the project has been around for well over 20 years at this point, or maybe come up in 20 years. Minimal is definitely the best way to put this music, and you could also definitely say that this is repetitious too. Yeah, so if minimalism and lots of repetition within the dark ambient, but more so like death industrial noise and experimental feels of things are your thing, you're probably gonna dig this. But I have listened to this record multiple times now, and I'm just not taking much away from this one. Yeah, I mean, dark ambient and all these genres have been done much better many times before, and yeah, I don't know what to say, man. I mean, it's sort of weird reviewing these old records, and these are, like, this record's from 2002, so it's over 20 years old at this point, and I don't think, Crionic Mind cares too much about it. At this point, it's an old album they put out, just, I don't know. But there's just not really much to say here. It's so ultra minimal and just lacking in substance. Again, barely any atmosphere, if any, and it's just, it got some text and pictures in there, and just, I don't think it says. I don't know what that looks like. That's a bunch of weird stuff. It doesn't look like it's in English. I don't know. But anyway, must be the guy from Never Presence Forever. Yeah, I mean, you never know. Maybe something else this guy's put out over the year is better, or years is better, but I don't know, man. This is, again, just not really my cup of tea, I guess. Alright, guys, I have one more to talk about for this review triple threat. Yeah, let's call it that. And, yeah, we're going to talk about Cold Electric Fire and their album, In Night's Dream, We Are Ghosts. So, Cold Electric Fire, as far as I can tell, was a project of Gary Tedder, who back in the early 2000s put out 2 albums, including this one, and a split release, and then that was it. Don't really know what happened to the guy. I think he's retired from music or went on to other projects. Couldn't really find out much information about him, but this was the last release Crionic Mind put out before an over 20-year hiatus with the label. He then picked up activities in 2022, I believe. Yeah, and this came out in 2002. So, Cold Electric Fire, yeah. So this is, again, very minimal, dark ambient with some industrial and minor noise characteristics. I guess the best way to describe it would be to call it noise ambient. But, sort of the theme of this video has been me not really feeling it, and I think that's the same that could be said here too. It's just so minimal and lots of repetition again. And I know repetition is, a thing within dark ambient and all these post-industrial genres, but this is repetitious. It's boring, and it's repeating the boring and boring and boringness, and it's just not really going anywhere. And it's just, there's not a lot of activity, and some of the songs, it literally just sounds like he was what key can I randomly hold? Okay, and he's just sitting there holding it down for 5 minutes straight. Maybe every minute and a half he's like, that's how minimal and just ultimately fucking boring this album is. So, considering the fact I didn't really like these albums, maybe I shouldn't have talked about them, but since Scott sent them to me anyway, it's something to look up. I mean, I'm sure there's people that watch these reviews and they're open to checking out just about anything, but, proceed with caution, I guess. I'm sure this stuff is on Spotify or YouTube, if nothing else. So, anyway, there's the front cover of that one. Back cover here. Get out of the way, lights. That's the inside. Let's see, I can't remember if there's anything in the booklet. I think there is. So there's the front cover once again. Yeah, pretty minimal stuff here. Yeah, I mean, it seems like, and I know I may make it sound really generic and really, but it seems like, each each song it says what instruments were used, and I don't know, the fifth song it says cymbals, cello, feedback from stereo mic and voice, mutator positioned into washing machine, spin slide. I don't know. It's gotta be a noise thing, I guess, to just use whatever found objects you can use. Oh, it is. I shouldn't say it is. It might be a thing. It is a thing. So anyway, that's Cold Electric Fire. In Night's Dream, We Are Ghosts. Anyway, guys, thank you for joining me for this review. Not the best selections out there, but hey, check them out if you want. And anyway, thanks for watching. See you next time.